In 8 days, everything changes for the United States. I don't think people know what's coming. I'm talking about a fundamental shift in America, the total destruction of the Obama-Biden era. According to sources I've spoken to, President Trump is about to unleash the largest bomb of day one executive orders that we've seen in American history. That means within 1 hour of putting his hand on the Bible, taking the keys back to the White House, President Trump is scheduled to put his name on hundreds of executive orders immediately. So buckle up, folks. This is going to be big. So let's go through some of the huge details of what we are expecting in just a week's time. So within hours of the president taking the oath of office, President Trump is set to unleash a tidal wave of executive orders, hundreds of them, designed to obliterate the Obama-Biden legacy. If past is prologue, we can actually look back to 2016 for some clues about what's coming. But make no mistake about it, this time it'll be much, much bigger. So back in 2016, Trump hit the ground running. On day one, he signed executive orders to begin construction of the border wall, withdraw the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, give the middle finger to environmentalists, expediting environmental reviews for infrastructure projects. He also froze federal hiring and took steps to undo Obamacare. Now imagine that, but doubled, tripled, or quadrupled in scale. Reports suggest Trump plans to reclassify thousands of civil service positions to ensure loyalty, reinstate travel bans to secure our borders.
So we should have a travel ban, an immediate deportation, and immediate consequences for the mother country that knowingly sends these people here.
Use a machete to basically slash regulations to reignite American industry. This isn't just hitting the reset button, guys. This is smashing it with a sledgehammer. This is why the left is panicking right now. They know that within 3 hours of Trump ascending to office, he will dismantle the policies they've spent years building. The Obama-Biden era isn't just ending, it's being erased. It's a globalist agenda that is being erased, and I cannot wait for it. So what's on the table for day one of 2025? Well, let's start with immigration. It starts right there. Trump plans to reinstate travel bans, not just as a matter of policy, but as a matter of national security. Reports suggest he's preparing mass deportation, stricter border enforcement, ensuring that the Darien Gap, Panama pipeline of illegal immigration stops cold.
Number one, we're closing the border. It's going to be closed very strongly, and it's going to be closed. And we're going to have to take people out that are criminals. We have people from jails from all over the world and from mental institutions. And as you know, they're going to have to be removed. And we're going to be really governed by common sense. These are the principles of common sense. We're not going to be governed by stupid people.
On the economy, expect new orders slashing regulations that have strangled American businesses. Trump's energy plan, by the way, is set to turbocharge independence by reopening federal lands for drilling, oil drilling, reversing Biden's crippling green agenda. But it's not just about oil, coal, and natural gas. It's also about critical minerals in the United States. One of America's biggest blind spots right now is critical minerals. The United States has some of the largest untapped reserves of essential minerals like copper, lithium, uranium, and other rare earth elements, which are vital from everything to construction, to computers, to EVs, to renewable energy technologies.
We're going to put the miners back to work.
Trump's focus on domestic mining isn't just about jobs. It's about securing America's supply chains, reducing our dependence on foreign nations like China for these resources. We get a huge amount of our enriched uranium, by the way, from Russia. This needs to stop right now. Let's talk about education reform. Also on the table, Trump has hinted at dismantling woke federal education policies, expanding school choice, giving parents the power to decide what's best for their kids.
Rather than indoctrinating young people with inappropriate racial, sexual, and political material, which is what we're doing now, our schools must be totally refocused to prepare our children to succeed in the world.
But it's not just at home where America has been taken advantage of. It's on the global stage as well. So let's talk about Europe. For years, the United States has been the economic engine propping up Europe. They sell us 20% of their goods. But what do we get in return? A massive trade deficit. Now, I lived in Europe for years. And let me tell you, try going to the store and trying to find like an American product on their shelves. You won't find it. You won't find anything like this. Oh, you want to pick up some Lysol wipes to clean your countertops? Sorry, can't buy it there in Europe. You want some like beef stock to make your soup? Sorry, you're not going to find it. You want some organic, like half and half for your coffee? Sorry, you're not going to find anything like this. You're going to get these generic, crappy European brands, whether it's laundry detergent or basic household goods. All you'll find are subpar European brands. And this isn't just anecdotal. The numbers tell the same story. Our trade deficit with Europe stands at an eye-popping $131 billion. That's not trade, it's a subsidy. Plain and simple. We are propping them up. Trump understands this better than anyone. He's not just going to level the playing field, he's going to tip it in America's favor. The days of Europe freeloading on American prosperity are over. It's not just Europe, though. Let's talk about Canada. Over the past few days, Trump's comments about Governor Trudeau have sent the liberal media into a frenzy, and of course, for good reason. Trump called out how the United States has essentially been subsidizing Canada's economy for years, whether it's lopsided trade deals, unfair tariffs, or energy policies that put American workers last. Canada has benefited from our generosity while giving us very little in return.
I said to Trudeau, I said, why are we subsidizing you $200 and $250 billion a year? He said, I really don't know. And I said, well, I don't know either. I said, what would happen to Canada if we didn't? He said, Canada would be obliterated if that happened. I said, then Canada should be a 51st state.
The free ride is over. Next, let's talk about Greenland. The liberal media ridiculed Trump when he floated the idea of purchasing Greenland from Denmark. But let's not forget the historical precedent here. Thomas Jefferson made the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, doubling the size of the United States for $15 million. Critics called it reckless. Sound familiar? Then there's Harry Truman, a Democrat, who proposed buying Greenland in the late 1940s because he understood its strategic importance, both for mineral resources and national security. What Trump suggested isn't crazy. It's actually pretty visionary. You might not like it. It depends on where you stand on the issue, but it doesn't matter. Greenland is rich in resources, critical minerals. Its strategic location in the Arctic makes it a key player in global security. Trump recognizes this just as Thomas Jefferson and Harry Truman did. And finally, Panama. When Jimmy Carter handed the Panama Canal back to Panama in 1977 for $1, it came with one condition: neutrality. But neutrality is a distant memory. Today, China has a significant influence over the canal, creating a choke point that directly threatens the United States' interests. But the canal isn't the only issue. Just south of it lies the Darien Gap, which we've covered extensively here on this show, a dangerous stretch of jungle that's become a pipeline for illegal immigration into the United States, including military-age men from China. Heck, even 60 Minutes, liberal 60 Minutes, highlighted this alarming trend. This isn't just about immigration, it's a national security concern.
Migrants from China are now the fastest growing group of people entering the United States illegally from Mexico.
China?
So bottom line, a massive wave of executive orders, a complete reset of failed globalist policies, and a clear plan to put America first. Trump's day one agenda isn't just about undoing the Obama-Biden era. It's about building a stronger, more independent future for this country. And as we've seen with Europe, Canada, Greenland, Panama, the message is clear. America will no longer be taken advantage of. The free rides are over.
Of medicine made in the same plant. Why is it that we're paying many times more? And I know the answer, because our government didn't do what they were supposed to do. And what I put in place was terminated unexpectedly by the Biden administration, and they shouldn't have terminated it. It would have had a huge impact.
And Mr. President, one quick question. On Ukraine, you mentioned that some of the areas are already decimated. Do you believe that Ukraine should cede territory to Russia?
Well, I'm going to let you know that after I have my first meeting, but a lot of that territory, when you look at what's happened to those, I mean, there are cities that there's not a building standing. It's a demolition site. There's not a building standing. So people can't go back to those cities. There's nothing there. It's just rubble. Just like when I knocked down a building in Manhattan, which is actually, this is worse, actually, because we do it step by step. This thing has just got demolished. And by the way, in those buildings are many people. Many people were in those buildings. You know, when they say the number in Ukraine is going to be a much higher number of death, is going to be a much higher number than you're hearing. You know, they're big buildings. That's what I did very well. And these are very long buildings. They're 15 to 20 stories high. They're massive buildings. I was surprised at how big. And they're flattened like a pancake. One or two bombs hit them and they just collapse. And they'd say, nobody was hurt. Well, nobody knows who was in those buildings. There were a lot of people in those buildings. They're going to find that when they start doing the removal. Many more people are being killed in the Ukraine war with Russia than is being reported, and that includes soldiers. The soldiers are being, it's a carnage that we haven't seen since the Second World War. It's got to be stopped, and I'm doing my best to stop it. Yeah, please go ahead.
You had a meeting.
He could only use them for reporting purposes, not for sale purposes, and he admits that. And I think we'll be successful on that one. And we have one very interestingly on Pulitzer, because reporters at the New York Times, Washington Post got Pulitzer Prizes for their wonderful, accurate, and highly professional reporting on the Russia hoax. Well, it turned out to be a hoax, and they were exactly wrong. People, like many people, John Solomon, Sean Hannity's not for Pulitzer, but Sean Hannity got it right. Many people got it right. Tucker got it right. Jesse got it right. Laura got it right. Janine got it right. A lot of people got it right. They didn't get anything. They gave it to reporters that got it absolutely wrong. And now everybody admits it was a hoax. And I want them to take back the Pulitzer Prizes and pay big damages. And I think we're doing very well.
Recientemente, el Banco Central de Rusia ha tenido bloqueadas cerca de la mitad de sus reservas de divisas. Resulta que las reservas no son realmente tan necesarias.
Por supuesto, es una pregunta legítima. ¿Para qué acumularlas si se pueden robar tan fácilmente? En primer lugar, antes nadie pensaba que pudiera hacerse tan fácilmente. Todo el mundo pensaba que las personas que tomaban las decisiones económicas actuaban de forma muy conservadora y comprendían sus propios riesgos. Han bloqueado, pero aún no nos han robado definitivamente este dinero. Creo que invertir en tecnología, en educación, en ciencia, en logística, es lo más fiable.
The question of whether the United Nations is fit for purpose has been a subject of extensive debate. Established in 1945, the UN's primary objectives include maintaining international peace and security, promoting human rights, fostering social and economic development, and upholding international law. While the organization has achieved notable successes, it has also faced significant criticisms and challenges that question its effectiveness in fulfilling its mandate. Leaders from BRICS nations have articulated critiques of the United Nations, UN, particularly concerning its structure and effectiveness. Here are specific quotes reflecting their positions. Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva emphasized the need for UN reform during his address at the UN General Assembly in September 2024. We need a revised UN charter that gives a stronger inclusive role in global peace, acknowledging the unjust exclusion of Latin America and Africa from permanent Security Council seats.
Estamos con Israel por convicción. Estamos con Israel, con Estados Unidos, con Europa, con el mundo occidental, por convicción, porque creemos en la filosofía de la democracia, de la defensa de los derechos humanos, de los países.
Parece que si Estados Unidos le dice a Europa, los ahorcaremos, esta solo le preguntará, ¿traemos nosotros la soga o nos la dan ustedes? Pienso que Europa ha sido empujada casi hasta el suelo, ha dejado de existir como centro político independiente y soberano de la política mundial, baila al son que le toque la administración de Estados Unidos, desde la primera petición e incluso en su propio detrimento.